Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President, distinguished colleagues, and esteemed friends. It's an honor to be here today and address the Council on grave concern about the human rights crisis in Afghanistan. Since the Taliban returned to power in August 2021, the situation has deteriorated significantly, leading to significant setbacks in the protection of human rights, particularly women, minorities, and civil society. Today, Afghanistan is the only country on earth where it lacks a legal framework, accountability mechanism, and most alarmingly, it is the only country where girls beyond the year 6 are not allowed to go to school and women are not allowed to work outside their homes. Women are subjected to severe form of systematic discrimination and persecution simply because of their gender. Afghanistan now stands as the sole country where gender apartheid is being enforced under the watchful eyes of the United Nations and the international community. What makes the situation particularly troubling is after 3 years, we are witnessing that the erosion of human rights values and the institutions such as United Nations are more lenient towards Taliban's gender apartheid policy. The exclusion of women and civil society groups from the Doha III conference at the request of the Taliban was a missed opportunity to bring the voices of Afghan women to the forefront and encouraged by the United Nations framework such as Women, Peace and Security Agenda. Numerous credible reports from the United Nations and from international and national organizations, including the UN Special Rapporteur, Mr. Richard Bennett, is highlighting the worsening human rights situation in Afghanistan, particularly for women. Journalists, human rights defenders, women protesters, and activists are being silenced through intimidation, arbitrary detention, rape, forced marriages, and extrajudicial killings. Crackdown on media, freedom of expression, and human rights community, especially women human rights defenders, has stifled the voice of civil society, leaving the loom for dissent. The absence of accountability mechanism and a legal framework has exacerbated these challenges, allowing impunity to prevail over justice. Banning Mr. Richard Bennett, the Afghanistan Special Rapporteur, from entering Afghanistan has added to the already existing atmosphere of fear, self-censorship imposed by the Taliban. Religious, ethnic, and gender minorities continue to face systematic persecution, including violent attacks and mass displacement. These targeted abuses affront the dignity of human life and violates the core principles of equality and justice that this Council stands for. Furthermore, hundreds of former members of the Afghan National Security Forces have been subjected to cruel forms of repression, including arrest, targeted and extrajudicial killings, tortured and enforced disappearances, despite the Taliban's declaration of general amnesty. Since August 2021, the Taliban leadership has issued more than 100 edicts. The majority of them are against women's freedom. The new law on prevention of vice and promotion of virtue shows the grim reality of Afghanistan under the Taliban, where the persecution of women because of their gender has reached its new horrifying levels. In the light of these challenges, the international community, particularly the United Nations, has shown a worrying lack of resolve in holding Taliban accountable for their crimes against the people of Afghanistan, particularly women and girls. In contrary, we are seeing some countries are normalizing their relationship with a gender apartheid regime. We must prioritize human rights in all diplomatic engagement, and any support provided to Afghanistan is contingent upon respect and protection for fundamental human rights, including gender equality, freedom of expression, and minority rights. As we gather here today, we cannot turn a blind eye to the suffering of the people of Afghanistan, especially women and girls. We must unite our efforts to demand accountability by supporting the continuity of the work of the Afghanistan Special Rapporteur, supporting and set up other appropriate accountability mechanisms, including investigating and documenting human rights violations and crimes under the international law, such as gender persecution, and allocating financial financial and technical resources and providing political support for the work of the Afghanistan Special Rapporteur. We must provide protection for human rights defenders and journalists at risk and advocate for a future where the rights of all Afghans are upheld. Inaction is not an option. I thank you.